The worst and most bizarre thing about Europe, it's not a country, it's actually 44 countries, all crammed onto the second smallest continent on Earth. If you've been to Europe, comment 1. If it's on your bucket list, comment 0. If you want a part 2, comment 7. And if you live in Europe, let us know your location. In just one day, you could wake up in a country with no mosquitoes, have lunch in the world's oldest restaurant, and fall asleep in a town with only 30 people, all without ever leaving one continent. Europe is the most misunderstood landmass on the planet, and today we're going to blow apart everything you think you know about it. We're counting down the 10 most weird, wonderful, and genuinely jaw-dropping facts about Europe, from the bizarre to the practical. And at number 1, we're tackling the truth about whether you can actually survive here on just $5 a day. Stay until the end, because you will not believe the answer. It's not a country. It's 44 of them, all packed onto the second smallest continent on Earth. Comment 1 if you've been to Europe. Comment 0 if it's on your bucket list. Comment 7 if you want part 2. And if you actually live in Europe, tell us your location. Imagine this. In a single day, you could wake up in a country with no mosquitoes, have lunch in the world's oldest restaurant, and fall asleep in a town with just 30 people, all without ever leaving the continent. Europe is without a doubt the most misunderstood landmass on the planet. And today, we're about to blow apart everything you thought you knew about it. We're counting down the 10 most weird, wonderful, and genuinely jaw-dropping facts about Europe, from the totally bizarre to the surprisingly practical. And at number 1, we're looking at whether you can actually survive here on just $5 a day. Stick around until the end, because the answer will genuinely surprise you. Number 10, the continent that lied to you about its own size. Let's start with one of the most bizarre geographical facts that even most Europeans don't mention. Europe is technically the second smallest continent in the world. It's smaller than Antarctica, and even smaller than Australia if you count just the landmass. Yet it contains 44 countries. That's more sovereign nations packed into less space than anywhere else on Earth. For comparison, all of South America has only 12 countries, spread across a landmass nearly twice as large. That kind of compression means in some places you can drive from one country to another in under an hour. Take the Netherlands to Belgium. The border is so invisible that sometimes your GPS is the only thing that lets you know you've crossed it. On the other side of the continent, the border between Kosovo and Serbia is one of the most politically charged 300 kilometers of land in the modern world. Same continent, but a completely different reality. Comment 10 below if you've ever accidentally driven into another European country without even noticing. There are countries inside countries in Europe. Vatican City, the world's smallest nation at just 0.49 square kilometers, sits entirely inside the city of Rome. You can walk across it in under 20 minutes. San Marino, perched on a hilltop inside Italy, claims to be the world's oldest republic, founded in 301 AD. Gibraltar is a British territory physically attached to the southern tip of Spain, where residents voted to stay British in a 1967 referendum and again in 2002. Spain still claims it. The British ignore that. Every tourist who walks across the border gets their passport stamped by a country the size of a small suburb. Europe's political map is not clean. It's a centuries-old argument that never got resolved. If that surprises you, wait until fact 7. You'll want to comment 7 below when you hear about the cultural stereotype that turned out to be completely backwards. Fact number 8. Cultural stereotypes versus reality. If you've ever been to Iceland, you already know this. But if you haven't, prepare to be stunned. Iceland is entirely mosquito-free. Not mostly, not almost, completely. No mosquitoes exist there due to the country's cool climate and the absence of the shallow, still water bodies mosquitoes need to breed. Travelers who visit Iceland often say it's one of the most physically comfortable outdoor experiences in the world, and the lack of biting insects is a huge reason why. Meanwhile, just a few countries over in Finland, there are more saunas than cars. Finland has approximately 3.3 million saunas for a population of 5.5 million people. Sauna culture there isn't a luxury, It's a meeting room, a social space, a place to make business deals, and for many Finns, practically a religious experience. In Belgium, the average person consumes around 8 kilograms of chocolate per year, among the highest rates in the world, served from over 2,000 chocolatiers across the country. The stereotype of Belgium being just bureaucrats and waffles is wildly incomplete. Comment 8 below if Finland's sauna obsession surprises you. Let's talk about food, and specifically about who actually invented what. The croissant, widely considered a French icon, actually invented in Vienna, Austria in 1683 to celebrate the defeat of the Ottoman Empire at the Siege of Vienna. Its crescent shape was a deliberate reference to the Ottoman crescent moon on their flag. France adopted it decades later and, as the French do, made it theirs forever. French fries, Belgium. Despite the name, the dish originated in Belgium, where locals fried fish in oil in the winter, and when rivers froze, they fried potatoes instead. American soldiers stationed in French-speaking Belgium during World War I brought the idea home and called them French because that's the language they heard around them. Europe produces over 1,600 distinct types of cheese, with France alone responsible for nearly 400 official varieties, and France legally protects its baguette. The authentic version can only contain 4 ingredients: flour, water, salt, and yeast. No additives, no preservatives. The law has teeth. And Restaurant Botín in Madrid, open since 1725, holds the Guinness World Record as the world's oldest continuously operating restaurant. Its original oven is still in use. If you want to go, book months in advance. Comment 3 below if you had no idea the croissant was Austrian. If you've never been to Oktoberfest in Munich, Germany, you need to understand what it actually is. Over 6 million people attend across 2 weeks. More than 7 million liters of beer are consumed. That's not a festival. That's a small city appearing out of nowhere every October. And yet Oktoberfest isn't even Europe's most culturally significant celebration. The Nordic Midsummer Festivals, celebrated in Finland, Sweden, and Norway around the summer solstice, involve maypoles, bonfires, traditional dancing, and a genuine communal joy that is almost impossible to describe if you've never experienced it. In Sweden, midsummer is sometimes considered the most important holiday of the year, ahead of Christmas. And then there is Eurovision, the annual song contest that has run since 1956 and is one of the longest-running television programs in world history. Americans often discover Eurovision and react with confusion, then fascination, then obsession. Because Eurovision is not just a singing competition, it's geopolitics, camp, national pride, and genuine musical talent colliding in one spectacular spectacle. Finland's 2006 Eurovision win, with a heavy metal band in monster costumes, remains one of the most joyfully unhinged moments in broadcast television history, and they were completely serious about it. Tell me in the comments, have you ever watched Eurovision? Drop yes or no below. Here is the truth, and it is more nuanced than you've been told. In 2025, the cost of living in Europe spans one of the widest ranges of any continent on Earth. On one end, Switzerland, where a basic meal in a sit-down restaurant can cost $30. Monthly rent in Zurich averages well over $2,500, and a monthly budget comfortably exceeds 4,000 euros for a single person. On the other end, parts of Eastern Europe, where monthly living costs for a frugal person can fall below 574 euros. That's around $630 a month, or roughly $21 per day. Street meal in Bulgaria or Romania, $2 to $4. Hostel bed in Eastern Europe, $10 to $15 a night. Bus in most of Europe, $1 to $3. Coffee in Prague or Warsaw, $150 to $250. Monthly rent in Bucharest, Romania, about $350 to $500. Coffee in Zurich, Switzerland, $6 to $8. Monthly rent in Zurich, $2,500 or more. Budget flight with Ryanair or EasyJet, $15 to $40. So, can you live on $5 a day in Europe? In Western Europe, Paris, Amsterdam, Zurich, London, absolutely not. Not even close. But in parts of Romania, Bulgaria, Albania, and North Macedonia, you can eat a full hot meal for $2 to $4, take a bus for under $1, and find a bed for $10 at night. Budget airlines like Ryanair and EasyJet have also transformed how cheaply you can move between countries. Flights for $15 to $40 between major cities are genuinely common if you book in advance. The European Union's freedom of movement means that citizens can cross 27 borders without a passport check. Budget travelers from outside the EU routinely build 6-country itineraries for under $1,000 for 2 weeks, including flights. Is $5 a day survivable? Barely. You'd be couch surfing and eating bread and market fruit. But $20 to $30 a day in Eastern Europe? You can eat well, sleep comfortably, and still have money left for a museum ticket or a glass of local wine. Europe is not expensive. Europe is just enormous, and most people only look at the expensive half. And that, my friends, is Europe. 44 countries, 1 continent, and 1,000 years of culture that is still arguing about who invented the croissant. If this video surprised you even once, do me a favor and smash that like button. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. And I want to hear from you right now in the comments. If you've been to Europe, drop 1 below. If it's on your bucket list, drop 0. And if you've already watched this whole thing and you want a deep dive video specifically on the cheapest countries in Europe to live in, the full breakdown city by city, then drop a 7 in the comments and I will know it's time to make that video next. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're building something special on this channel and I do not want you to miss what's coming. I'll see you in the next one. Fact number 7, traditions and art. The bizarre traditions only locals know about. Let's get weird. Every Christmas Eve in Sweden, millions of families stop everything they're doing to watch Donald Duck on television. This broadcast, called Kalle Anka, has aired since the 1960s and is one of the most watched television events in the country annually. It's not ironic, it's completely sincere. Swedes genuinely love it. Meanwhile, in Hungary, there is a social rule that if you're at a table and someone raises a toast, you do not clink your beer glass with anyone else's. This tradition dates to 1849, when Austrian generals reportedly clinked glasses while celebrating the execution of Hungarian revolutionary leaders. Hungarians held a 150-year unofficial ban on the practice. Some still honor it to this day. And Wales, a country the size of a medium American state, has over 600 castles within its borders, giving it more castles per square mile than virtually anywhere on Earth. Welsh princes built them to defend against invasion, and the result is a landscape that looks like a fantasy novel brought to life. Tell me in the comments, which of these 3 facts shocked you most? Drop 1 for Sweden, 2 for Hungary, 3 for Wales. Fact number 6, marriage and relationship customs. European weddings will make your jaw drop. If you think Western weddings are elaborate, you haven't seen anything yet. In rural Romania and Bulgaria, weddings can last 3 days and involve the whole village. Everyone is invited, music never stops, and multiple meals are served. In Greece, breaking plates is still a joyful tradition to ward off evil. In Portugal, fado music is so central to weddings that UNESCO recognized it as cultural heritage. And in Eastern Europe, the playful kidnapping of the bride is still practiced. European wedding culture is wild and we've barely scratched the surface. Fact number 5, nightlife and modern city life. European nightlife is honestly a different species. Here is something American tourists consistently get wrong about European nightlife. The night does not start at 10 p.m. It starts at 1 a.m. In Berlin, widely considered the techno capital of the world, the club Berhen opens on Friday night and does not close until Monday morning. That's 72 hours of continuous music. The queue outside can last 4 hours, and about half the people in that queue will be turned away at the door with no explanation given. That is the experience. That is the culture. Berlin's nightlife economy generates hundreds of millions of euros annually and is protected by city law. In 2021, Berlin officially reclassified nightclubs as cultural institutions, giving them the same legal protections as theaters and concert halls. Meanwhile, in Amsterdam, the canals themselves become the social space after dark, with houseboats doubling as private party venues, and in Madrid, dinner doesn't even begin until 10 p.m. in many restaurants. If you're American and you visited Europe thinking you understood the evening schedule, you were wrong, and you probably went home before the party even started. Comment 5 below if you've experienced European nightlife and it genuinely surprised you. Fact number 4. Natural resources and economic surprises. The economic facts Europe doesn't advertise. Here's a fact that will honestly reorder your understanding of global trade. The Netherlands, a country the size of West Virginia, is one of the world's top exporters of agricultural products. A country famous for canals and windmills is, surprisingly, a global agricultural titan, second in value only to the United States. How? Greenhouses. The Netherlands has turned greenhouse farming into a science, producing enormous quantities of tomatoes, peppers, flowers and dairy in a fraction of the space conventional farming requires. And there are more bicycles in the Netherlands than people, over 22 million bikes for 18 million residents, which means the bicycle industry there is not a hobby, it is infrastructure. Switzerland, meanwhile, has built the world's longest railway tunnel through the Alps, the 57-kilometer Gotthard Base Tunnel, which took 17 years to construct and, well, fundamentally changed how goods and people move across Central Europe. And Luxembourg, the tiny nation between France, Germany and Belgium, consistently ranks as one of the highest income countries on Earth per capita, higher than the United States, higher than Germany, a country smaller than Rhode Island. This continent honestly rewards paying attention.